Hey, everybody. We want to welcome you to Heart with Dan and Angela.
Hi, everyone.
And we're glad you joined us today. And we wanted to tell you about an interesting thing that just happened. My brother passed, as many of you know, and I thank you for all of your condolences. He was my younger brother. I'll put a picture of him up a little later on the YouTube, on the banner maybe. But anyway, it was interesting because I was invited to a JW funeral. Can you believe it? I was invited to a JW funeral, and it just freaked me out. I was like, my oldest brother called, who, I haven't talked to in how many years, Angela? 7 or 8 years. The only time I talked to him was, like when my mother died, I talked to him then. And anyway, long story short, they invited me to the funeral with my Uncle Neil. He's an elder. My Uncle Gary, he's an elder. My brother Doug, he's an elder. And my Uncle Gordon, I think he's an elder. And all my family who I haven't seen in years. In what is it, 40 years, I think I've seen them. In 40 years, I think I've seen them all twice. Mm-hmm. So it was really, really freaky because the last couple of times I saw them before last, they looked pretty good. Yeah, and the time before that, they were just kids, So it was amazing to see, when we got back on camera, they were all old. And I was like, whoa. And it was like they were frozen time, like they had been frozen in time. You know what I mean? But they were aged. But the message in the Jehovah's Witness funeral was the same identical thing that we experienced when we were in, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I was grateful. Me and Angela sat there. We said, thank you for doing this. Thank you for inviting us. But honestly, it was like looking at a bunch of strangers. And the truth of it is I left them and they left me. Because I left them, because I couldn't follow falsehood anymore. I couldn't follow falsehood. I said, no, I want truth. And so I decided to separate myself from them. And because of that, they went their way and I went mine. And what was interesting to see was, when I knew them, they didn't have Southern accents. You know what I mean? That was weird.
Yeah.
They had Georgia accents, real heavy, thick. How y'all do it? Like that. And I was like, whoa. I remember when she was a girl, and they were all younger. They didn't have those accents, but all the family on my mother's side, Gary and Neil and all his family, they were all Southern, and it was weird to hear the Southern twang and this and that. But anyway, we were grateful. They went through the deal. They did a
Video
a Zoom meeting. It was a Zoom meeting, and everybody was on there. Everybody was on full alert because the apostate Dan was on board.
Yeah, what's funny about that too? We're out and about, and we get the phone call that Dan thinks it was a half an hour from now they're going to have the funeral. And I thought he said an hour and a half, but so we were on there way early, but it was good. But they were not going to invite us. I don't think it was half an hour before they decided to invite us. So that was kind of funky. So it was a little bit of a rush for us, but thank God we were able to do it,
Yeah. And so it was just your typical, it was so weird. Here's how it goes. So everybody's kind of cutting up a little bit, talking about our fat and, Paul eats 4 hot dogs and, we're all just kind of joking a little bit. But then when it was time for them to read a scripture, didn't you feel like they went into a trance? I hate to say that, or they went into hypnosis. I don't know, but all of a sudden their tonality dropped. Okay, all right.
Maybe it's because they were being themselves.
Yeah.
When we were just chit chatting, we chit chatted for a good bit before the funeral, memorial, whatever started.
Yeah.
And that was their real self. I think that at least as much as they could be.
Yeah.
In their
I agree.
And then as soon as it went to the religion end of it, which was the beginning of the memorial, they suddenly went into their altered state of okay, now I'm a Jehovah's Witness. Now I'm not just a family member.
Yeah.
I'm now a Jehovah's Witness, and it was a taking on airs, maybe you'd say.
Yeah, it was. Let's see what Jehovah's word. Yeah, it's like the Catholic Church. They walk down the aisle like this with the Bible. They literally do the word of God, and everybody stands up, and they say the word of God, and everybody stands up, and then they put it on the lectern, and then they look out at everybody, and then they go, then they open it up and everybody starts trembling to shits, and so this is what my Uncle Neil did. He gets on there, and he goes, let's see what Jehovah says about the condition of the dead, and I'm going, okay, we know what that is. As for the living, they're conscious that they're living, but let's see what Jehovah says. But as for the dead, they're conscious of nothing at all. Let's go to Second. It was like a meeting, man. Let's go to 3 John 3:1. Let's go to First Thessalonians, and you could see all the people in the background, going, "Oh shit, I didn't know it was going to be a meeting." And they're like,
And here's what's weird is it really didn't end up being a memorial at all. I mean, all they did was just say how many kids were in the family, the fact that they were hardworking boys, these Clark boys. And that I know a little bit of just a tiny little bit, and it was over.
The only thing that
no pictures of our brother Phil died, none. Not much about him at all.
And the only thing they said about him was this was Phil's hope, that he would be in the paradise to the end. This was Phil's hope, that he would be in the paradise. And guess what? You know what's sad, guys? My oldest brother, didn't see him till he was dead. And another relative that lived in town says, "Oh, I wish I could have known where Phil was. I would have went over and saw him." And and I'm like, I didn't start any trouble. I did start some trouble, but
yeah, you did.
But but I just she said, "I wish I could have got over there and saw him. Poor Phil." But my brother died, like most witnesses, alone. When you're done being a workhorse for those assholes, when you're done being a workhorse for a governing body, you're thrown away. You're a piece of shit. You're tossed. And so nobody visited him. He died alone. And I won't go into how he died, but nobody there contacted him, talked to him until the funeral.
No, years. I'm a witness, guys. I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. I'm ex-worldwide. But it was nothing.
And it was like, nothing. Phil's so wonderful. Phil was a good witness. Phil was this, Phil was that. And I'm going, and then my uncle kind of made the mistake of saying, "Danny, did you come back to Jehovah?
Have you returned, or has it always?"
Yeah. Have you returned to Jehovah? And you could see all of them. It was like they had zoom lenses. What's Dan doing? How's he moving? Is he jumping all over the place? Is he freaking out? And I sat there, I go, "No, I haven't returned. I haven't been back in 22 years. 2 years. And I was stumbled out over the generation prophecy. And
I was stumbled, he said.
Yeah, I said, I told 2 brothers that the generation prophecy came and went. And I said, "Did we pass a prophecy?" And I said, the 2 elders looked at each other like a deer in the headlights. And the next thing you know, a letter come back from Bethel, and they put me on apostate watch. And I said, I didn't even know what the hell apostate watch was. And anyway, and I said, and this and that. So what did I ask him? Oh, I said, I was talking about meetings and all this stuff. And my brother goes, "Danny, witness now. Doug's a witness now, right? Danny, let's don't go there, okay, brother? Let's don't go there right now." And I said, "That's okay, Doug. We don't have to go there right now. That's fine. I didn't come on here on this funeral, to make a bunch of, trouble."
Yeah.
And I just asked him, why did it take so long? I said, for you guys to go back to the meeting. I said, everybody went back, like a year before you did. I said, why did you guys take 2 years to go back? You know what the scripture says, not forsaking the gathering of ourselves. And boy, he had an answer already for me. I blew my mind. He said, the churches needed money. We don't.
That's right. That is what he said.
He said the churches had to get back and get that money coming in. And I'm going, oh my God.
No, I thought it was saying that's why they couldn't start, because it takes money.
No, they have plenty. The churches need it. They live off money.
Oh, that's what it was.
So he says they need money. So they had to get back and get those plates passing. And I'm thinking that, I didn't go there, but, I wanted to. But
Dan asked about Tony Morrison. What happened to him?
Yeah, I asked about Tony Morrison, and they told me.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell happened to Tony, your governing body guy? Well, we got 2 new ones now, and they're one, okay, no. What happened to Tony? Where's Tony?
Yeah.
And Tony got in an accident, they said.
They didn't really want to tell Dan.
They didn't really want to tell me, but they did. And one person said it, and then his daughter said it. I said, well, he got in a really bad accident. And all I could think of was he drinking, as much as he drinks. And so anyway,
maybe that's why it's so hush hush.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, why wouldn't you just say that?
Exactly.
Right. So it must be that it was something a little bit more than a car accident.
Yeah. So they
Yeah.
said he was in the infirmary.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, he's like out of commission.
Kind of like Catholic.
Apparently, yeah, it was like a really
Catholic infirmary.
Yeah,
yeah.
It was a really bad accident. And so anyway, so that was kind of the funeral. And I'd said a few more things about the Halls, didn't I? Was that about it?
Yeah, you asked them. You said, "You guys, can you just tell me how you're dealing with all these changes that are going on? You know, so many changes. You know, kind of like." And he started going to the prophecy, the 1975 prophecy that didn't happen. And but he goes, you know, how are you dealing with all these changes? And anyway, they didn't want to go there. They stopped Dan, but that was interesting.
But then they said, Doug goes, Danny, we'll talk about that. We'll take that up another time. Okay, Danny?
And then Neil says, well, I want to be there when you do.
Neil says, well, I want to be a part of that conversation. Yes. Doug, when you get a hold of him, I want to get a part of that car. And I said, I'm looking forward to all of
That's what he said. That's what he
said. I'm really looking forward to it. I really am. Yeah. You know,
Dan had no fear. I just want God, no fear of these guys whatsoever. And they're big dudes.
And you could see them all. They're like watching. It's almost like they saw me look at them. You know, I'd be looking at the screen like I'm looking at it now, and all of a sudden. You know, like my Aunt Betty with it was almost like she saw me looking at it and she's like,
and man, she just looked just like Dan's mother.
Yeah.
I barely met Dan's mother, but she was like,
it's my mother's sister.
Yeah.
And they're all,
yeah,
you know, oh boy, yeah, you know, he's still out there. He's still out in that wild world, you know.
We shouldn't really be talking to this guy, but hey, you know, it's the occasion here.
So anyway. But anyway, what I was wanting to say, I guess, what I learned from it all, what did I get from it all? What was the thing I got? And I guess the thing I got was, you know, they moved on, right? They moved on. They're living happily ever after. They're living happily ever after. They're eating good. You know, my uncle, you couldn't see his chest. You know, his chin went rink, you know, right to here. And my brother, same thing. It was like looking at these, you know, it was like this. And I was like, geez, you know, look at you guys. I mean, not that I'm that much better. You know? I said, I'm pretty damn good compared to them. But, you know, but anyway.
Maybe not in their eyes.
But they're doing good. You know, they're eating out. I said, what do you guys think? I said, what do you think about the world? We're so excited. It's here, you know?
Did you say that? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. And they said it was Neil's daughter said, we're so happy. We're so ready for it. I said, you're all ready for it to fall apart and everything to happen and everything to come down. They go, we are ready. We're excited, you know, but you know, just from an observation point, I want to say this too. Both of them, my brother and my Uncle Neil, said that over 80% of their Kingdom Halls were over 80 years old.
Wow.
80%. The majority of the Kingdom Hall is 70 to 80 years old. And they said 80, but I'm just giving them 70, saying, well, maybe it's 70, but the majority of the Kingdom Hall is just the older people.
Oh, as far as the people, how old they are in there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was thinking the buildings themselves, but you're talking about the people in there.
The people, 80 years old. They're old. Wow.
So they're hanging in there.
They're hanging in there. And I guess they just don't have anywhere to go. And honestly, I don't know that I'd want to try to steer them anywhere. Yeah. I don't know. I felt sorry for them.
Yeah.
You know, they're reading those old scriptures. It was like watching a program. It was honestly watching my family was like looking at an 8-track set. You know what I mean? It was like listening to, you know, 1975 Tony Robbins. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like an 8-track, you know?
Like going back in time.
Like going back in time. Yeah. They got stuck in time.
Yeah.
And they don't know where to go. And
like they're not progressing.
They're not progressing. They were stunted. Their growth was stunted.
Yeah.
And you know, all they have is what's written in that Bible. You know, all we know is Jehovah says, you know. And then finally to conclude the funeral, which again, I appreciated them doing, but they did their jw.org commercial at the end of it. And they lied. They said they were going to do a 3-minute video on my brother. And so I was anticipating we're going to see a little bit about Phil and a couple of pictures of when he was young and maybe hanging some drywall, you know, and I was excited, but they played a jw.org thing about the resurrection.
Yeah.
And it was about Lazarus, and it was the dumbest.
And not just that, but they got done playing it, and then they played it again.
Yeah. They said,
So
I can't get it to work. I can't get it to work. And I'm like, how hard can it be? But anyway, you know how technical stuff is. So when it played, it was jw.org. It was nothing to do with my brother Phil. It was a commercial. It was a stupid commercial. It was a dumb commercial. It was the dumbest video I ever saw in my life. It was. And it was put together by retards. It was. I watched the video and I was like, they had a guy going up into heaven, you know, and says, why would Jehovah let somebody go into heaven and pull him back down to resurrect him? And I'm thinking, well, why would he let him go into the ground and fall apart and rot and shit and turn his bones and then put all that back together? You know, it was stupid.
it really was.
And it played and it was broken. And the music was, you know, and then, and then they played it again. And they said,
I couldn't believe it. I
well,
thought, surely they'll stop it in a few seconds here, and nope, it went all the way to the end. Like, no way.
Yeah, and they're like, well,
crazy.
you know, Pammy, you know, turn that thing off, get that thing off, there. We saw it enough. Yeah, you know, and they're all yawning, and yeah. I thought they gotta watch this stuff.
Oh man.
But it was freaky. So anyway, that was the end of it. There, he said he was gonna open it for questions, but he didn't. But anyway, that was
for comments, right? He's
gonna
open it for comments. I wish we could have said some things about Phil.
I wish we could have.
That was weird.
It was weird.
It was really weird. It was almost like it was like Dan said, it was like a Jehovah's Witness meeting rather than a memorial for honoring our brother.
Jehovah's Witness meeting done in 8-track setting.
For Dan's sake, probably too.
Yeah.
You know,
I swear it was like 8-track. And the whole thing, even the video didn't play good. It was choppy, the music is spotty, and it was just corny. And I thought, man, these guys are boneheads, you know.
But let's get on to what we're really got. We want to bring here. What's the benefit of all of this? We want to benefit you.
So anyway, the benefit for me was, you know, they moved on. I chose to move on, right? So I'm not a victim. I'm not saying they destroyed me and wiped me out because I left them. I'm the one who divorced them, you know, so I can't be a victim. So I let them go. So when I saw them, you know, they were looking at me the same way, like, you left us. So, you know, they didn't feel bad and I didn't feel bad because I was following truth over falsehood. So it was something that that's what I wanted to tell people was like, when you leave, when you decide to leave and you've had enough, you don't have to be a victim. I mean, even if they shun you, you know, they're going to shun you, you know, they're going to throw you away, you know, they're going to, you know, not talk to you, you know, that's what they've been told. So you shouldn't expect any different. You know, you just let them go. And they're going to go on being a Jehovah's Witness until they wake up, if they wake up. And that's the other thing too, people. Everybody's not going to wake up in this world. Our family may not wake up. That's a hard reality to face.
It is.
Your family may not wake up. You know, Angela's mother, you know, is a Messianic. What is she?
Well, you know, one went Church of God, and then she kind of went into it is Messianic Jewish combined with Jehovah's Witness. We are more Jehovah's Witness than anything, but mixed with add-on Sabbath day and holy days and unclean foods, that we don't eat the unclean foods, the Jewish food. So anyway, my mom is very much stuck in that. But you know what? It's kind of weird. They're not happy with me for having left the group, left mom's control, really, more than anything, because we're really not all the same religion anymore. But we're still all under mom's control. She's still in. Most of us are out. But you better obey or else. So I finally was tired of the abuse, and I decided that I this is not right. I keep, you know, getting out of the hole of the shenanigans, and then I get sucked back in again by another conversation, and then I got to re-forgive, and then I got to deal with the abuse all over again, and discussion. And this has been this loop cycle of the cycle of abuse. It's love you, hate you, love you, hate you, you know, make up and start over again, and just
it's a lot of things. It's punish and withhold. It's tell you there's a birthday, then tell you missed a birthday, and you know, and this happened, and leave you out,
just so that you'll
send you pictures. Here's all the pictures of the rest of the family and us working together and sticking together. The only one that's not there is you.
Yeah, and just guilt and shame all the time, and constant, never ending. And so I choose to leave. But I'm going to tell you, this is not easy. And but we do have to let go. This is what I'm learning. I could either choose to be a victim, and in a way, to stay a victim means I'm saying, okay, I'm going to keep on having a relationship with you, honestly, because it just keeps on doing the loop cycle, and I keep having to feel bad again and suck back in again, and I don't get out. So I have to choose to not be a victim by leaving. And then I have to choose to not be a victim by feeling sorry for myself because I don't have my family in my life. So it's kind of a double whammy where I have to choose to not be a victim. It's like, this is being done for me. Everything, I feel like everything in life is for our growth, for us to improve ourselves and to get wiser, to rise above and out of things. We have these opportunities or not. We can just stay stuck. We can stay abused, stay loop cycled, stay, shunned and ridiculed and guilted and shamed to death. But I've been hearing different people lately saying, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not allowing my mother to do that, my dad, whoever, my husband. I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. That is taking your stand. That is being brave, courageous, and choosing not to be a victim.
And I like what you said too, when Angela said, this is being done for me. The victim says, this is being done to me. Look what they did to me. They can't wait to tell the story to the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person. So it's always, this is what they're doing to me. This is what's happened to me. This is what's going on with me. And so Angela said just a very important thing right there. She said, this is being done for me to grow, to learn, to grow. And so, just go back to my family real quick.
Yeah.
I didn't really see them as my family anymore. It's like there's a saying that a woman is the quiver that the arrows are shot through. But do you really own your kids? They got to choose too, right? They got to go to life. They got to choose to hate or love, be victims or victors. They got to make all those choices too. So there's a certain point, like Angela's saying, where I got to let go. I got to let go. I got to stop getting enmeshed in this stuff.
Right. It's true. And man, I'll tell you what, Dan and I we're being pruned right now. We're having to let go of a lot of relationships. And it's a little bit uncomfortable. It's maybe a lot uncomfortable at times. And, you just want to go into the normal way that things have always been. And then you have to remind yourself, no, this is a new chapter. This is I've got to let go of some of these things that they're just dragging me down. And I'm not going to grow in the Lord. I'm not going to do what I'm meant here to do if I'm going to allow this stuff to go on in my life all the time. It just is continual drag.
Yeah. I think that's what we've got to come to, is being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
Like our heart says, I want family. I want my mom. I want to be together. Yeah. But reality says that's probably not going to be the case. Like for me, right?
If it is, it's not going to be healthy.
Right. Like for me, I could say, I wish I was back with all those family, and I wish I was with my uncle Gary and Neil, and, I wish I was with my brother, and, but the truth of it is, if you look at square in the eye, they can't accept me. I can accept them, but I know that because of their faith, because of their religious ideology, because of their brainwashing, that is going to be all that I'm going to have. I won't see them again until they're dead. A lot of them.
You won't.
I will not see them again.
No.
And I won't go into what's happening with them all, but they're kind of getting sick. They were told to do that. And I mentioned that to them. I won't use those words, but I told them all to be careful and to start thinking for themselves and to stop listening to 8 men in Brooklyn, New York, make your medical decisions.
Amen to that.
And I said, and you're compromised. I said, you're a 501c3, which means you do what the government tells you to do. They give you status, they give you charity, they give you money. Yeah. And so I said,
yeah, for those of you who don't understand that completely, and I don't think they did. I
told them that in the meeting.
He said, you guys, when you're a 501c3, you're compromised.
You do what the government tells you.
And that's exactly right. So what it is that we will give you the status of not having to pay taxes on the money you receive from your congregants in whatever ways that you would get your money. But you're going to have to, but you agree in so doing that you will abide by whatever we ask you to do in our rules. So if they tell you to tell your congregation something, you have to do it. And so therefore they're compromised. I wonder how, you involved in the UN, because they're compromised.
Yeah. And they told them to shut down. And I don't know if you guys remember when you were in, we were not going to shut down. The government was never going to tell us to shut down. They said, when they tell us to shut down, we're going to be preaching till the end, which they say they have on Zoom and all that. And the numbers inflated. But the truth of it is, they shut down. They shut down for an added year, to show the government they were just following suit.
Yeah.
And then they encouraged everybody, you know, the story with the Bethelites and the curriculum in order to get into Bethel, you know. And so anyway, they're sick, all of them, and especially my two uncles are sick, and it's really sad. So I told them, I want to tell all you guys, stop it. Stop following these guys. Stop listening to 8 men. They don't make your mental decisions. You got a mind to think with for yourself, and you need to start using your own brain and get out of that. And they're compromised. It's a 501c3. The government grants them favors, and they obey the government. And so, anyway, that's what I told them all. And it was complete silence. It was a death of silence right across the thing.
Yeah, if you're 501c3, when they tell you that you're going to keep your doors closed, oh, you will obey. But if you're not a 501c3, you're not under that government mandate of everything they want you to do, jumping through hoops.
And we don't care. And they never cared about the mandate. They said they would never close those doors. They would never stop preaching. They said stopping preaching, to stop preaching when they were told, would be like putting a finger in Jehovah's eyeball, and then he was going to wipe them all out.
Yet they were a 501c3. They have to obey.
Yeah, they were the first to stop and the last ones to go back.
And, you know, I can't imagine that they didn't know that they were under those rules. You know that when you say,
oh, definitely.
So that's ridiculous. That's why I will never.
We know why they were. No, and we know why they were off. They were selling Kingdom Halls like hotcakes as fast as they could.
Yeah.
They were using this you know, pandemic, you know, to continue to, you know, do what they did with the halls. You know,
and at least here in Idaho, they had all kinds of parking lots in their Kingdom Halls where they were providing people to come and get their, public, everyone.
Medical stations. And I told them about that too. I said, you know, what do you think, you know, the governing body using the parking lots for, you know, medical stations? And
yeah, I know.
Anyway, I just said it like it was. And anyway, deathly silent, dead right across the thing, silence. And, you know, let's go back to the Bible and, you know, finish it up.
Yeah.
But anyway, but what me and Angela is saying is, you know, there's sometimes a point where you got to just see it for what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be. I may not ever be as close to my mother, Angela. I will never be as close to my family as I want it to be. And that's just how it's going to be.
Right.
And I think we've got to come to that understanding. We cannot be in denial, because playing with this thing, like if I was to play with them, they'd be trying to preach to me. They'd be trying to, you know, work me way in. They would, you know, they're not coming out. And, you know, they may come out one day, but I doubt it.
We have to make peace with that too, guys. That's kind of what I'm realizing, is that we can't save everybody. We would love to, but it's not our place. And so instead of trying to grab on, and they're trying to grab on to me, my mom's really trying hard to get me back in. I think she feels like my blood's going to be on her hands or some weird thing. Even though I'm not Jehovah's Witness, I'm ex-worldwide. We're very much like Jehovah's Witnesses. And she's pushing hard right now. It's really uncomfortable.
Sending posts and scriptures about the Sabbath and about this is the only truth. And if you don't do it, you know.
It commands us to keep the Passover. It commands us to.
Yeah. I'm holding you guys in prayer before God so he don't destroy you, you know.
Shame on you for doing any kind of worldly anything. I don't know. I just have to let go. I really do. And it's not comfortable. I feel like it's just a pruning time. It's the dross burning off. I feel like God's asking us to choose, you know, who you're going to serve. It says in the Bible that, you know, your enemies would be those of your own household. And, you know, if you're not willing to leave father, mother, brother, sister for his kingdom, you're not worthy of me. I mean, I'm just saying that it's in there. And so, but am I going to hang on to what the world says is important, which is everything's about family? Because Jesus said that you know, I didn't come to what is that? Not to bring peace, but a sword between all these different relationships, which is between mother and daughter-in-law and father. And he named all these family relationships that there was going to be from now on. I did not come to bring peace from now on. And so it's like an area of time that has been allowed for us to experience separation in every kind of way. I feel like that's what's going on. Except separation from every kind of situation, and we're having to learn how to deal with that and be okay with that and do the right thing in that and choose God in that. And so anyway, a lot of choices are having to be made to do the right thing and not just follow family or church or leaders or pastors or doctors or whatever, because that's what you've always done, that you choose to stand alone if you have to, you know. And so anyway, it's an interesting time, and it's, again, it is so not comfortable, but I think that in the end it's going to yield some good fruit in our lives if we just do what it is we got to do, and just be willing to surrender whatever it is being asked to be surrendered or let go of. Let go.
And we can still love them. And that's,
yes, absolutely.
This is kind of the practice is when they condemn you and they say you're an apostate or whatever, you can still love them because you know that's the language they use, you know that's the programming they have. True. And you go, call me an apostate, call me a whatever, and you know what I mean. I know the governing body has lots of names they call people when people say they're not going to listen to their false prophecies anymore and their false deadlines and their unapologetic attitudes. You know, we say, no, we're done with you man, we're done. You know, they get really pissed and they go into name calling, but we understand that. We understand that's what it's going to be. We understand that at times my brother's going to try to preach to me. Angela's mother is going to try to preach to her because, you know, like Angela said, you know, her blood's on her hands. You know, that's the thing we were told too.
You know, and not just that, but also too, in every family, in these codependencies, sick cycle families that are just really not very healthy at all, very dysfunctional way of being. But there's always a scapegoat in these families, and somebody that everybody points the finger at. You're the problem. And we have to say, you know, you can try to say I'm the problem, but I'm not buying it anymore. I am not buying it. I know who I am. I'm a child of God and he loves me, and I've got a purpose, and you're not going to keep dragging me down anymore. And we just have to be realizing that every family has the person everybody likes to point the finger at, you know, and we don't have to accept it. We can say, no, you know, reason it out and say, no, right. This is not right. And no, that's not who I am. And no, that's not where I'm going to stay. And, you know, whatever, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm shutting it down, and get real about it. Because if you keep on listening to it, I just wanted to tell you something. When I was first dating, not when I was first married to Dan, I remember his brother, his young brother, the one who just died. He called Dan up on the phone, and Dan would lay on the bed, and his brother would just go for hour and a half telling him all these reasons why you need to be back in the Kingdom Hall, and this, that, and the other thing about the truth. And I'm like, get off the phone, don't listen to that. And I could just see his face just kind of getting kind of gaunt, kind of white, like a ghost, like, oh my God, you know, maybe he's right. Maybe, you know, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I should go back. I could see his little eyeballs rolling around in his head, thinking all this. And it just horrified me. Like, you don't need to be brainwashed again. You've already gotten out of that. But we have to realize that, well, that's what they're going to do, but we don't want to be involving ourselves in listening to that, because it's just going to suck you back down. That's the problem.
They're not going to stop. They're going to think, oh, interest. Like when somebody took a magazine, we write, oh my God, return visit. We go back 100 times.
Oh man.
So we don't have to show interest. A lot of times we guys say, we just don't want to hear it. We don't want to listen to it.
You can't listen to it. It just drags you back down into the pit. We must not. Like, I'm gonna have to, no, I'm not going to listen to my mother do this to me again, even though I'm not Jehovah's Witness, but it's the same kind of thing. I have to say, no, I'm not going to let you drag me back down in the pit again. So be as it may, you guys, we have to choose, and we got to choose right, because otherwise how can we be a vessel of love and hope and shining and supportive and, you know, saying the things that bring life, if we're going to listen to these things that are bringing death to our own selves? We'll have nothing to give. So anyway, for whatever that's worth.
Yeah, so that's great. So guys, that's all we wanted to say today. Yeah. We just wanted to bring you along to the XJW Zoom funeral meeting.
Yeah.
And let you know what that was like. And, you know, and again, give you some of our perspectives and things so that you can, you know, say, yeah, that makes sense, or, you know, maybe you want to hang on a little longer. I don't know. It's none of my business. But the fact of the matter is, we've gotten out. We don't live in the shame and fear anymore. Angela's working her way out with her mother and her family. There's a lot of different weird stuff going on there with her daughter and her mother. And
oh yeah, it's painful.
It's painful. So she's having to kind of cut that umbilical cord in a weird way. So anyway, that's all we wanted to say today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this, pass it on. If you think it'll help somebody, pass it on. You can do whatever you want with our videos, and be sure to like and subscribe so that this gets the algorithms going and we get the message out there. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next video.
Yes, choose life.
Choose life. That's right. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Just